On this episode of Offbeat, Victoria Princi, Yoda quotes, and karate championships. Stay with us.
Is that even you who's being tough on yourself? This is so sad. That was a really deep cut.
Offbeat! The show about getting weird with weirdos. Nerds. The best kind of human. Every week, we talk to a star, an NYU student musician. It's cool, Osman! Yes, that intro is scripted and will be repeated every week. Who do we have with us today?
Victoria Princi.
Hi, Victoria Princi.
Hello.
I'd like to take it back to the beginning. You're 5 years old. You just started learning piano. You're playing for your dad to welcome him home from business trips. What kind of music were you playing for him?
Wow, taking it really far back. I was playing this song actually that I wrote. It was called I've Been Waiting for 10 Years, which is pretty ironic because I was 5. And the melody was something like, I've been waiting for 10 years or something like that. And it was just, my dad traveled a lot when I was younger, and there would be these spurts of time, weeks at a time, or sometimes even a month or a month and a half, that he would be gone. And so that would feel like a long time when you're a kid. You've only lived a few years. So like 6 weeks feels like a whole chunk of your life.
No, 100%.
And he was always great about calling us, and he was not absent from my life. He's a huge inspiration and a huge part of my life. But it's funny to think about that at age 5, I was sort of feeling these emotions and trying to express them through not just my words, but like I had been longing for my dad to get home, but I like sat down at the piano, which is so silly for a 5-year-old to do. But around that time, I started learning the violin. But I always loved going through the library of all those like loops and beats that would be on
Like GarageBand?
like a Yamaha. No, like on a keyboard.
On the
You know, like
keyboard.
on the physical, it would be all the keys, and then there's the little pad with numbers, and you could type in different numbers, and then there were different modes and tones. And there was this looping thing. It would be like play and like intro, outro, different sections of the loop. My sister and I used to like turn them on and dance around our house and like come up with these songs. It was a foundational part. The piano was a big part of my life at that age.
I have such a similar memory of we had the electric keyboard in my living room, and I was the one who was practicing on it. And there used to be this button on the piano that said demo under it, and it would play like a couple different recorded songs. And I have like the first one so locked in my head. It was like, and what we would do is we would run around the dining room table and like chase each other around the table while like dancing and running to this song. And sometimes my dad would come into the dining room with a knife.
Oh my god.
And he would chase us around the table with a knife,
That's
dancing
so
to this
scary.
song. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's crazy. My parents would often love just my mom would be cooking in the kitchen, and Bella and I would run from the different rooms, but we'd turn the volume like super loud. But my mom always loved when we were playing around.
Did your mom or dad like try to get you into piano, or did they just kind of...
No, both of my parents actually play instruments. My dad
Okay.
is a drummer, and my mom played the flute. And my parents also have very diverse music tastes. They were always introducing us to new music as when Bella and I, my sister Bella and I, were really little. And I also went to a Montessori school. So if you don't know what a Montessori school is, it's a lot of follow the child. We would have a lot of guest speakers and different musicians who would come in. And I think I was at school, and my music teacher had brought in someone who played the violin. I was 4 or 5. Came home every day for like 2 weeks straight. Every day I asked my mom, "Have you signed me up for violin lessons? Have you signed me up for violin lessons?" And my mom, she was encouraging it, but she also wanted to see if it was a phase thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was every day I came home and I kept asking. And so my mom, she looked up a few places around the area and she found the Suzuki schooling. She talked to one of the teachers and brought me in to go see one of the recitals, the end of the year recital. And so I was sitting with my mom. The concert would be at this town parish in my town. So it's a church. So we're sitting in the pews.
We're in Westford, Mass.
Yeah, we're in Westford, Mass. And one of the older students, who was probably in high school at the time, maybe middle school, so very good, she was playing some concerto in the Suzuki books. And my mom told me that I turned to her. I'm 5. So imagine just like me, yay high, like literally 2 feet tall. I was a tiny child. I turned to my mom sitting in the pews and I'm like, this is so sad. The piece. And my mom, she has told me that she was like, wow, how can a 5-year-old feel so deeply about from the music? Like, obviously you can tell when something's happy or sad, but for Victoria to turn to me and go, oh my gosh, this is so sad. So she sort of knew then, like, okay, wow, she's really serious about playing this instrument and she's really serious about feeling and this music. So she signed me up for lessons and then I started playing with Jess and I never stopped.
You seem like you really believe in this philosophy of following the child.
Totally. I really do. I think they haven't experienced a lot of life, but kids are so honest. And I think in that way they are very wise because they don't have wisdom from the years that they've lived, but they also just have curiosity, which I think really translates to wisdom. And so being able to sit in and put yourself in the shoes of the child and really ask yourself, okay, what might they be thinking? Or like, why are they so enthused about this? And to be curious too, I think, is to be wise from both the child and the adult. I think I'm very prepared. I think my parents have done an incredible job raising me. And I also think the teachers and mentors that I've had throughout life have also prepared me very well. And I've learned a lot.
Let's talk about one of those mentors who has prepared you. I'm going to try my best to do an Eric Rossini impression. Tell me how it is.
You really did your research.
Get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. That's something he would say to you?
That is something he would say to me. Wow. That's pretty crazy. That was a really deep cut. Eric Rossini was my karate coach. Or is still a karate coach. He's alive and doing well. But I just don't practice karate anymore. But I started karate around age 6 and then did that until I was 17. So, yes, he used to say this a lot. It was sort of this discipline and consistency teaching and just persevering. So even if you get knocked down 7 times, you get up 8 times and you're up. And I sometimes forget that. So honestly, thank you so much for saying that because sometimes it can feel really defeating when something doesn't go how you maybe had it envisioned.
You have your own quote of perseverance from a movie. You said, "Do or do not, there is no try."
This is true. That is on my Team USA bio, I think, which is so funny. That's Yoda. Do or do not, there is no try. Master Yoda. Yes. I love Yoda. He's this tiny little guy, and I was this tiny little girl. And he was a warrior, and so was I. I was fighting people. But, he was this sort of unassuming character. He seems old. He's like walking with a cane, but then he's like bouncing off the walls, And so I was sort of similar. I'm this tiny kid, this tiny girl who's at the time before there were weight classes going up against these big girls.
They called you David versus Goliath in an article. Did
they really? Obviously, your coaches and your family want you to do well, but they're not like, this is gonna be the end of the world if you don't win. No one was saying that to me, but I think I felt that because I I was putting so much pressure on myself because I had this belief that if I lost, that the people around me would be like, you are not good. But no one ever did that to me. No one ever said, like, you are the worst. I was putting that pressure on myself. And I think it's a good skill to know how to do, because we should push ourselves to discomfort. But I think it can be detrimental to use that as like a constant sort of skill and tactic for training, especially when, again, you're working with kids who are 12. And I think to find that right balance of like, I don't want to do this thing, but knowing when, if I push myself right now, I know that I'll feel good, versus if I push myself right now, I'm going to break down. And just knowing the difference, I think, is important for me at this point now.
Yeah, it feels like you're at a moment right now where you are needing to make that jump into the uncomfortability. You have a lot of experience now collaborating on music with other people in ensembles, in doing backing tracks for other people, live shows where you're the like second to other people.
Yeah.
And just 2 weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, was your first headline show.
Yeah, that's true.
And now you're releasing your first single.
Right?
So do you feel ready?
Ready is just a feeling that I've never really quite understood, because I've realized that if I keep asking myself these questions of if I'm ready or not ready, it's just a reason to not put a song out.
Mm.
And this song coming out has been a long time coming. I am. I am. I'm not ready. Or I'm not ready.
I'm so ready. Let's listen. Let's listen to In and Out.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm trying not to drive. I'm crying just to cry, to feel something, 'cause I don't feel a thing. You're laughing just to laugh. Can't you see we're full of crap? We're the same in and out. What's that all about? With supplying eyes, how can you not see dying inside? It's a crime to have beautiful eyes that can see the clouds, but not be able to see me like I see you in and out. In and out. In and out.
we're back.
We are so back.
Will you set the scene a little bit of your life when you're writing this song?
So I just moved to New York. I'm also trying to figure out what it is that I love. I love music, I know that. I had a lot of philosophical questions in my life, like what is real? How are we perceiving others? Is there a absolute truth? No, probably not. I was taking a lot of big question classes. And so when you start having these conversations multiple times a week in class, it does start to rub off on your self-reflection. And so I was thinking about this. I was hanging out with a lot of musicians at the time. And when you come to NYU, which is a huge international university, you're meeting people who grew up in China, who grew up in Australia, who grew up in all these different places. And so I think I started to become a lot more aware of social dynamics in an environment where we're not all from the same upbringing.
The line that stands out to me in the song, that's kind of the titular line, that everything is, we're the same in and out. What's that all about? So my question is, what is that all about?
It's a reflection of our patterns and being who we are as people, being the same person I was at age 12. And the same person is still me when I'm 18. And well, now at the time I'm 21. But when I wrote the song, I was 18. We still are hard on ourselves for the same thing over and over again. And the same version of myself a few years ago was hard on myself for something that I'm still hard on myself today. And so that line is like, we're both the same people, but like, what's that all about? You've been learning. So like, stop being hard on yourself about the same thing. You know that you're hard on yourself about that. So take a step back and think about it. And so I guess it's a lot about the ability to be honest with ourselves and how that is, at least for me, and I think many other people, a really hard skill to master. And I don't think we ever will master that as humans. I think that's part of our complex brain. Our brain does it to ourselves a lot of the time, especially if you let yourself spiral. And so that song is sort of about like puppeteering ourselves, but then when does the puppeteer, is it ourselves or is it becoming someone else? So that was pretty cool. And so when I started talking about the video with Camden, I was like, we should really lean into this more like self-reflection aspect, because I think that's super cool. And so some of our inspirations for it were, we were really inspired by the Black Swan and sort of this like high performance and Whiplash as well, like putting this immense pressure on yourself that you start to like go in circles. You start to be so tough on yourself that, is that even you who's being tough on yourself? Is it a mentor I once had who's living through me? Because we are the people that we're the sum of who we have hung around our whole life. So
What's next for Victoria Princi?
what's next? Oh my goodness. So much. This is just the beginning, guys. But well, I've been focusing on recording a lot this semester and also playing live shows, because I feel like playing live has been huge for seeing how this project like blends together. And my bandmates, I'm going to mention them because they're awesome.
Do it.
Aiden Maley is on bass, Shane Long is on drums, and Will Yang is on electric guitar.
In and Out is out now.
Yes, it's out now
So
on all
listen
streaming
right now.
platforms. Oh my God, go listen. This is crazy.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for coming
Thank you,
on.
Julian.
That was episode 5 of OffBeat.
Offbeat!
If you liked our show, go check out our last episode to hear a song and stories by Truman Eoff. Also, check out our Instagram and TikTok at offbeat.radio to see funny clips not even in the podcast. I'm your host, Julian Collet. Victoria Princi is the kind of bubbly gal who will never run out of thank yous. So on top of her band members, she wanted to thank Zephu and
Camden, Cahoon, our crew, people who donated to our Kickstarter project. For the haters, my friends, and my family.
Tune in next time.